I spend a lot of time looking at Google Earth, specifically within Street View. It's a rabbit hole I've fallen down more times than I care to admit, and I've spent countless hours scouring the globe, fascinated by this small glimpse into daily life in places I'll probably never visit. What I've found though is that no matter where you are in the world, most cities have some things in common. Large government buildings, public parks, multi-use sports stadiums, and abandoned Formula 1 circuits? Okay, no, that's unique. This is Hanoi in Vietnam, and just over here to the west of the city is the Hanoi Street Circuit. In 2020, Vietnam was touted as the latest addition to the Formula 1 calendar, bringing the excitement of top-level single-seater racing to the Southeast Asian region. Fast forward to 2025, however, and the race never took place, and the circuit now lays abandoned. Try to get a closer look in Street View, and yeah, there's not exactly the clearest view. This isn't completely unusual. As powerful as Google Earth is, there's always going to be places mapped in greater detail than others. It does beg the question though, what does the circuit look like in 2025? Usually I'd resign myself to not knowing, but in the interests of a YouTube video, why not go and find out? So I did. To understand why the Vietnam Grand Prix never happened, first you need to understand why it very nearly did. Formula 1, right from its very inception, has been a European sport, with the 7 most frequently run events all being in Europe. Starting in the 1960s and 70s though, F1 began expanding, hosting races in new places and new countries outside of the European core. The maths was pretty simple. Host a race in a country that had never seen Formula 1 before, and you have a whole new group of people who can pay to come and watch. Establish a fan base there, and well, you can sell the TV broadcasting rights. This was Bernie Ecclestone's playbook, and it's what allowed him to transform Formula 1 into the multi-billion-dollar enterprise that he sold to Liberty Media in 2016. In the years leading up to Liberty Media's purchase of the sport, audience growth has stagnated. So, one of the first action points for Formula 1's new owners was to reach new people. Enter Vietnam. Vietnam was selected as Liberty Media's first calendar edition, with a race to be set here in the heart of the capital, Hanoi. The race was first announced in 2018, with the Grand Prix set to officially join the calendar 2 years later in 2020. There wasn't an existing track capable of hosting a Formula 1 race, so a brand new circuit was designed and constructed. Utilising some existing roads along with a purpose-built section, the total construction cost came to around $600 million. Additionally, to host a race each year, Vietnam was to pay a fee in the region of $60 million. That's all to say that hosting a Formula 1 race is not cheap, and to do so in a country where the average wage is a little over $10 a day, it raised some eyebrows to say the least. Where was the money for all this coming from? Thank you. Every single Formula 1 race promoter, with the exception of the British Grand Prix, has some level of government support to help pay for the costs of hosting a Formula 1 race, and Vietnam was to be no different. Nguyen Duc Trung was effectively the mayor of Hanoi, and he was a central character behind the decision to host a race here in Vietnam. Remember him for later, he becomes quite important. He brokered the deal with Formula 1, he convinced the government of Vietnam to help pay for the race, and he convinced the Vinh Group, one of the largest conglomerates here in Vietnam, to become the title sponsor of the event. And so in February 2020, just 2 months before the race was set to take place, the final construction for the circuit was completed, and Vietnam was set for its first ever Grand Prix. So what went wrong? We're now walking along what would have been a support road if the race had gone ahead and this track had been in full-time use. And as you can see around me, it really is properly abandoned here. There is no upkeep at all. The circuit is not in use for any events. They spent so much money to build this circuit, to bring Formula 1 to Vietnam. 5 years after construction was completed, it lays completely desolate, having never been used. It's a truly bizarre environment to be in, and I'll spin the camera around now and you can see where we are. So this is the main pit building. This is the main relic of what is left here. All the garages are lined up. You have some seats for hospitality staff, and this is really cool. I'll show you this actually. All of the grid lines, all of the grid markings are all still painted. It's ready to go. The track is ready to go, and yet it's never been used. As I go for a little wander along the start-finish straight, now's a really good time to tell you that this is actually my first video on this channel. So if you somehow come across this video and you're enjoying this, please consider subscribing. There will quite literally never be a more impactful moment in this channel's history to subscribe than right now, because I quite literally have zero. I'm not making any money from this, I'm just doing it for the love of the game. So if you want to support the mission, that'd be amazing. So I'm walking up some stairs now, see if I can get to some of the seats that would have been for hospitality guests. See what people would have paid. Probably thousands knowing Formula 1. It would have been thousands for some of these tickets to come and watch the race. Oh, here we go. Could be in business here. It all started to unravel just a few weeks before the Grand Prix was due to take place. The Vietnamese Grand Prix was set to take place in April of 2020, and as you might imagine, everybody's favourite pandemic put an end to that. Initially, the race was postponed with the plan to host the Grand Prix later in 2020. Then, in October, the event was outright cancelled. A decision was made to skip the 2020 season and target a return to the calendar in 2021. However, when the official 2021 calendar was released by the FIA in November, Vietnam was missing. The reason? Well, remember Nguyen Duc Trung? He was the central character in making the Vietnam Grand Prix happen, and in October of 2020, he was arrested on corruption charges. He was found to be responsible for the theft of many state secrets and was imprisoned. These were completely unrelated to the Grand Prix. However, with Chung unable to advocate for the cost of hosting a race, a decision was made to terminate the contract with Formula One. And it really looks like this Grand Prix may never now happen. Just behind me over here is some of the purpose-built section. This entire Sector 3 and I guess the start-finish straight is all part of the purpose-built section of the track, which obviously is all just still here because it's not public roads. And then just next to the purpose-built section, you of course have the public roads, which and there we have it, just been kicked out, got a lift with the guy on the moped. He was super sound, he was super nice. Spoke basically no English, but enough to tell me that I needed to leave. But he gave me a lift out at least, so how cool is that? I'm beaming, I'm having such a good time.